The Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the British have left India. It's time to write history from an Indian perspective. What exactly did he say? His quote, "Britishers left India, but history was written through their prism." The confusion persists still. On the show tonight, is it time to rewrite our history? Are we fixing it, or is it being changed as part of a dominant political narrative? Joining us for this, Karuna Gopal of the BJP, Rohan Gupta of the Congress Party, Irfan Habib, the historian, Hindol Sen Gupta, the author. But before we come to them for this debate, let's just listen in to what Amit Shah had to say.
अंग्रेज तो चले गए थे, मगर जो अंग्रेजियत छोड़कर गए थे उसी चश्मे से पढ़कर इतिहास को लिखा गया। एक गलत अवधारणा इतिहास से सर्जित हुई, जो इतिहास हम लोग पढ़े हैं कि पहला साम्राज्य मुगल साम्राज्य बनने के बाद ही हुआ। ऐसा नहीं है। इस देश में कम से कम 30 ऐसे साम्राज्य हैं जिन्होंने 200 साल से ज्यादा राज किया और बहुत अच्छे तरीके से राज किया। वो मुंह जबानी बताया जा सकता है। अहिंसक आंदोलन का भी योगदान है, इसको हम नकार नहीं सकते।
Karuna Gopal, let me come to you first. Many would suggest that the history that we study, for example, in our school texts or university texts, has been wetted for decades. It's based on fact. Why are we trying to rewrite this? How would you respond?
Well, Mr. Som, when medical treatment protocols or mathematical algorithms or archaeological excavations or even psychological theories are being revisited, why not history? Is history to be cast only in stone, is my question.
Okay.
So today, very providentially, I must say that I'm reading a book written by one Miss Emma Marriott. She has written a book on revisiting world history, and the topics that she covers are right from the French Revolution to the Bolshevik Revolution to American Civil War, the Vikings, the Huns, the Normans. She covers practically everything, including the World War I and World War II. Now, there are two important things that we must know today in this debate, because what she says is, she says, I'm writing this book to let you know,
yes,
first of all, history allows you to refresh your memory about what you know already. The second thing is, revisiting always lets you fill those details and gaps that have been left out of syllabus. So brilliantly she writes. And today what Sanjeev Sanyal has done is to fill those details and gaps.
Okay.
Just to give one example, the two R's, the infamous R's, as we would like to say, Romila Thapar and Ramchandra Guha, have done enormous injustice to our history, let's say, documentation of our history. Especially, we don't find a mention of anything that Subhash Chandra Bose has done. For example, it was his inspiration that.
No, but Karuna, aren't there hundreds of books literally on Netaji? Is there any doubt about his role?
In most of them have gone missing. No one has categorically said that it was his inspiration that actually led to the independence.
Irfan Habib, okay, let me get a reaction to that. Books. Irfan Habib, is that correct? Let's just briefly talk about Netaji. Is there a dearth of history in accounting for the role that he played in the independence struggle?
Not at all. Not at all. There is I don't think Romila Thapar is expected to write about Subhash Chandra Bose. No. Or Ram Guha has to write about everything in modern history. There are so many other scholars who have done immensely. There are volumes and volumes in Tirumurti library if anybody cares to go and read. But my point is, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, by just talking about him or installing his statue is not enough. Read what he wrote. No, just don't talk about INA. Talk about Netaji of 1920s, 1930s. No, the period which made Netaji Netaji. No, so that is what one need to do. But we don't care about that. Netaji was a socialist. No, he had his vision, which was absolutely egalitarian. No, he wanted to have an India which was plural, which was secular, which was socialist. And you can go and read his Haripura Haripura history presidential address. It will give you immensely all ideas about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, what exactly he stood for. So this is tokenism which is happening.
Okay, it's tokenism. Hindol,
you come and accuse people that
sure.
People have not
studied. Mr. Habib, half a second. Hindol Sengupta, would you believe that this is tokenism? That there is literature and it is cast in stone?
Not at all, surely.
Okay.
Not at all, absolutely not. This is much required. In every country, surely Irfan Habib would know that in every country, the process of reassessing and reanalyzing historical figures is a continuous kinetic process. This is true in America, this is true in the United Kingdom, it's true in every part of the world. It is only in India that vested interests have constantly tried to push us in a corner and made us believe that a reassessment of historical figures should not be done, is not possible. This is absolutely wrong. We must reassess our history continuously. There are many things. The Mughals were mentioned in your show. There are many dynasties in our country, including the Ahom dynasty and, of course, the great Cholas, 1500 years. Ahom dynasty is undefeated for, hundreds of years. Most Indians cannot name one great king of the Ahom dynasty. This is a great tragedy. Most Indians, barring maybe people in Tamil Nadu, cannot name one great king of the Chola dynasty. But many Indians can name all the Mughals. I have no problems with the Mughals, apart from a few of them. But the problem is, and I have no problem in people being taught the Mughals, they are part of our history. But the fact is, the biases, the skewing of our history is absolutely clear. We mentioned Subhash Chandra Bose. Even today, the vicious Indian left spreads this canard about Subhash Chandra Bose that he was supposedly a fascist and allied with the fascists, which is absolute rot. It's absolutely untrue. So this kind of malicious political behavior in history must be questioned, and it is the duty of every new generation of historians to reassess historical figures, to reassess historical moments. That is the work of history.
Okay.
It is only the tragedy of India that we have been constantly...
Hindol, half a second. Let Irfan Habib respond.
And everything is frozen in time.
This is something...
It's wrong.
This is a canard. It is a canard which is being spread in the name of Netaji. I'm sorry. Whatever is being said is just a canard, nothing else. Netaji is held in high esteem. I don't know who associates Netaji with fascism. He is my hero, and I have written about him. Go and read what I wrote about him. His nationalism, his understanding of India, and go and read Netaji himself. What actually he stood for. That's what I'm saying. Anybody who talks about these heroes, whether it is Bhagat Singh or Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, should go and read what they have left behind. Their intellectual legacy. Don't read what I have written or the so-called Marxist historians have written. Read what they have written themselves, and you will know what sort of people they were.
Okay.
So this is something sad. I question that. And I question all those who say that nothing has been done, only Mughals have been studied.
Okay.
Look at Rumela Thapar. She is a much maligned historian. She never wrote about Mughal dynasty. She wrote about ancient dynasties. There are few gaps. Let others fill in. It is not her responsibility to write about everything else.
Rohan Gupta. Okay. I get that. Karuna, half a second. Let me go to Rohan. I'll come to you after that. There's a lot, Rohan, that's been done, which is part of erasing our colonial history, for starters. Rajpath has been renamed. Racecourse Road has been renamed. St. George's Cross has been removed. Netaji's statue has been installed. Abide With Me has been dropped from Beating the Retreat. Amar Jawan Jyoti has been merged with the National War Memorial. How would you respond to many who would say that this is the new India and that these are all inflection points and this is what people feel pride in? And therefore, if all of this is based on a certain understanding of history or a belief in history, there's nothing wrong with it. How would you respond, Rohan?
I think people who have promised to change the future of the country in last 8 years, they could not do anything. It is their compulsion to now play around with the history. As Amit Shah ji told that Britishers went, but they left BJP to divide and rule. Now they are playing around with the history. Who says that no due credit has been given to our armed revolution leaders? No, everybody recognizes you have to look at the, independence history as a one bag. You cannot divide against that. Mr. Sardar Patel had been leader of Congress Party. Subhash Chandra Bose was leader of Congress Party. From Home Minister's speech today, one thing was very clear, that he could not find any of the leader of BJP or RSS whom he can say that yes, these people have contributed to the independence. The point here is, Vishnu, because they know that history always haunts them. When it comes to independence or post-independence creation of India, obviously BJP had no role to play. So I think it's not their fault, it is their compulsion, because they could not create the India they promised in 2014. Today we see hate. Today we see a lot of pressure on the opposition leaders. Today we see anger always all the places. The point here is, it is their compulsion, Vishnu.
Okay.
And whether Sardar Patel, he was Congress leader, he was Congress president of Gujarat. Now BJP talks about Sardar Patel that there was injustice to him. Subhash Chandra Bose, he was the leader who told the father of the nation to Mahatma Gandhi. So I think now,
okay, so the key point that you are saying, Rohan, is that there's a certain compulsion. Karuna, are you compelled to start rewriting history? That's the allegation.
Yes, Vishnu, it's very, very important that we rewrite history with the facts being presented. To start with a very simple thing, in one of the Bengali textbooks, apparently Khudiram Bose was projected as a terrorist. The youngest revolutionary leader, a martyr we had, has been projected like that. So isn't it right on our side to actually correct that? Now, it took someone like a Ram Madhav to write a book on partitioned freedom, where he categorically trounces, he decimates the concept and the information spread throughout that all Indian Muslims wanted separation and of Pakistan. He trounced it in his book, saying that it was none other than Jinnah, and nobody else wanted it, not all Indian Muslims. So we have to correct those things. Another example I'd like to give is about one of the books, the recent books. I'm sure all of us have read it. This is on the makers of modern India by Ramchandra Guha. He has showered encomiums on Mahatma Gandhi as the only single person who got the freedom to us, and on Jawaharlal Nehru, of course. There's one chapter dedicated to Golwalkar, and that is full of lies. He says that Golwalkar had so much of hatred for Christians and Muslims that he likened them to Rakshasas, which is far from true. The other thing is, if you know that in 1961, he perhaps was the first person to have initiated discussions with Muslims to come to some kind of a consensus about working together. Then he was also, his nationalism was called equated to Nazi nationalism.
And
like
Romila
fascism.
Thapar are your targets. You believe that the history that they, and they are renowned across the world, is wrong and inaccurate. Okay, I take that point, but Hindol, last word to you. How would you reply to those, for example, who've been changing textbooks? A couple of examples from NCERT textbooks. A chapter on Mughal courts in class 12 has been dropped. A chapter on Central Islamic lands in class 11, their history text, was dropped. References to, for example, the Gujarat riots in class 12 in a political science book were dropped. Chapters on the Naxal movement and the emergency were reduced. I've got a couple of points, admittedly cherry-picked, but points nonetheless. Is this necessarily correct?
Vishnu, I am not in favor of dropping or erasing anything. What I am arguing for is to include much more of the diversity of our history. Like I mentioned, when I went to school, and indeed my nieces and nephews, when they go to school today, are not taught anything about the Ahom dynasty. The great Ahoms who remained undefeated. They are barely taught anything about the Cholas. Are they ever taught that there was an age of fire, the great Agni Yug, in simultaneous to the Bengal Renaissance in Bengal? Are they ever taught that in Anushilan Samiti, Swami Vivekananda himself went to train at a gymnasium which was run by one of the founders of the Anushilan Samiti, which was one of the great revolutionary movements in Bengal? No, they never learned to join the dots. Do they learn that this Anushilan Samiti also gave birth to Barin Ghosh and Aurobindo Ghosh? No, of course not. Do they learn that this Anushilan Samiti was connected to Abhinav Bharat by the Savarkar brothers in Maharashtra? None of these dots are ever joined. So I am not arguing for anything to be erased. I am arguing for things to be included.
Irfan Habib, last word to you. Quickly, sir.
You see, whatever Hindol just said, when you go to NCERT, I'm not saying of today's NCERT, even earlier governments, emphasis has been to reduce the burden, reduce the burden of curriculum, take out lots of things. I have always been saying, when I have spent my 40 years working on Bhagat Singh and other revolutionaries, and people generally come and tell me that Bhagat Singh is not taught in detail in schools, to which I respond by saying that you cannot expect everything to be taught in schools because the emphasis is to reduce the burden. And particularly history is not considered to be something so serious, even by parents. They would like to
Sure.
their
So
children
your
to be
point is that a
literate.
couple of so
The
what
point
is the
you see, point is there is enough material, enough books, which if children want to study outside their courses, if parents are really keen.
No,
that
but
they
Irfan
should be
Habib,
exposed-
if Hindol and the others feel that there are essential parts of our history, he's given important points, right? Historical points which need
those
to
points-
be added.
You see, those
It's a
points-
valid argument.
I'm hearing lots of things about a home. I've always said that history writing has always been a North Indian project. No, there are lots of things from South India which have not been written, which should be included. People should work on them.
Okay.
Neelkant Shastri and others, they have done.
Okay, so the larger issue of adding to our knowledge
that is
base
something-
is important.
point is
Irfan,
you don't
Irfan ji,
have to-
I'm only interrupting you because I'm out of time. I love this debate, but I need to wrap it up because compulsions of time. I think the key point is if we need to add to our learning, that's one thing, but to attempt to rewrite or to change what may be factually correct, whose interest are we actually serving? We'll take a short break. There's a lot more coming up on NDTV. Stay tuned.